was June 25th, 2001, Farmington, Connecticut, in the Marriott, just like this. I was pumped, I was excited. If you were standing there, you would have smelled the coffee in the back of the room. They had just announced the winner of the semifinal of the World Championship of Public Speaking. I was so excited, it was me. My coach, I had never been coached before, my coach Dave, took my hand, brought me over to this man, Mark Brown, the 1995 World Champion of Public Speaking, and said something that changed the way I looked at everything. He said, Darren, I can't take you where I have not been. I can't take you where I have not been. He had never been to the World Championship. He handed me off to Mark, who was a world champion. Dave understood the wisdom of that. Look, this is not an IFF forum. I'm sorry, Henry. This is a big AA meeting. Authors Anonymous. We're sick people. Yeah, how would that look? Hi, my name's Darren and I'm an author. Hi, Darren. I started doing 1 or 2 presentations a month, and the next thing I know, I got paid to speak. I felt so cheap. Seriously, you're surrounded in the island of misfit toys. If you don't walk away with contacts of people who have been where you want to be, you missed out. That's why you're here. Stage presentations, awesome, but it's what you do with it. I challenge you to take notes differently. I take notes, here's what I'm going to do. Great insights, take those notes, but have a separate to-do list. So he introduced me to Mark Brown. Mark Brown asked the question that changed the way I speak forever, to help me find the passion in me. If you'd like to know that question, ask Mark. I know it's wrong, but what are you going to do? Mark asked me that question. I wrote out a brand new speech, because now at the highest level, you had to speak about something different. The judges had all of your forms and what you spoke about before. So you had to have a new speech at each level. I was out of my good stories, so I had to start from scratch. So I took his guidance. I worked on it for 2 weeks. I drove 2.5 hours from Boston to New York to work with Mark Brown. If you don't know Mark Brown, he stands about 6'2". He's a native of Jamaica, and he's got this beautiful booming laugh, like the guy from the old 7-Up commercial. Ah, ha, 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 ha. That was my coach. I didn't want him to see the speech that I wrote, the greatest speech I've ever written. I wanted to see the joy on his face when I gave him the greatest speech ever, and he was going to coach me. If you were standing there, Reader's Digest, in a small meeting room, you would have seen me beaming from ear to ear as I handed Mark the greatest speech in the history of Toastmasters. Oh, yeah. Mark took the speech. Oh, Darren, we have some work to do. What? I wrote the greatest speech that I could write. From the level I was at. You see, you don't know what you don't know. I realized I had been a speaker in Toastmasters, and I was the king of my club for 7 years. But I wasn't world class. Are you committed to being world class? It's a choice. You make it. I learned in that moment, if you're not coachable, there is no cure. Are you coachable? Raise your hand. We'll see. So that brought me to win the World Championship in 2001. I'm so thankful for my coach, Mr. Mark Brown. But we've had accomplishments, okay? What's your next big dream? I was sitting in Las Vegas with some other high-level keynote speakers. We were surrounded in a round table at this restaurant, BJ's Brew House. And Mike Rayburn, the big rock star speaker, had just moved to town. And he was running the meeting. We were all excited. And he went around the table and he asked everyone, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going big. What's your big, crazy, ridiculous dream? What's your big, crazy, ridiculous dream? What's your big, crazy, ridiculous dream? As he went around the table, I was last. And I find myself shrinking as he comes closer to me. What is going on? What? It's just a question. He got to me. He got right in my face. He said, Darren, what's your big, crazy, ridiculous dream? I started apologizing. Well, I love the movie Rudy. Rudy helped me when I was doing stand-up comedy, and I love real-life movies. They inspire. Well, what if they made a movie about me? I've been telling the story around the world, but who am I to have a movie made about me? Mike slammed his hands on the table. He got right in my face, and he said, who are you not to have your dream? So I ask you, who are you not to have your big, crazy, ridiculous dream? A movie? I don't know how to do that. Here's our problem. Well-meaning adults, when we're young, train the dream out of us. They train the dream out of us. Be realistic. I came from a great family. They loved me, but they didn't know how to dream. What's your big, crazy, ridiculous dream? And if I ask you this, what's between where you are now and that big, crazy, ridiculous dream? Would you agree that breakthroughs are what you need? Raise your hand if you need a few breakthroughs. Got it. How do you get them? Well, I didn't know how to write a movie script, how to have somebody else write it for me. I had no idea how. Your friend didn't know how to climb Mount Everest. So what I needed was a new strategy to get me there. What worked in my world championship, being the quiet, shy, unfunny kid who dreamed of making people laugh, what worked for me then? What's the strategy? I had to go back and research what I did before when I was the underdog. Now I'm the world champion, so everywhere I go, I'm the world champion. I'm not the underdog anymore. Tom Brady used to be the underdog until he wasn't. I'm asking you to have that underdog mindset again. So picture this. You're taking a trip in the Everglades. You feel the warmth on your shoulder. You smell the salt air. You see these beautiful sights. Clyde is your guide. He's a good old boy. He lived in this area in Florida his whole life. He tells great stories. He's a living character. Well, he's at the helm as we slide through the top of the Everglades. You notice there's a young boy up front. He's 8 years old, and he's got his hand out over the water. Whee! Then you notice Clyde pull back on the throttle. The boat eases up. Clyde, without saying a word, grabs from his trusty sheath his knife. He walks calmly to the front of the boat, puts his hand on the little boy's shoulder, leans over outside the boat, and clips off a blade of grass. He holds it in front of the young boy's face. He asks him, gently touch it. Young boy, his eyes go wide open, not knowing what's going to happen. Ow! It was sawgrass. Clyde doesn't say another word, puts his knife back in the sheath, walks back to the helm, and we continue our journey. So, question for you. That young boy, if Clyde asked him to keep his hand in the boat, what would have happened? How long would it have taken before that young boy had both hands in the water? How long? Seconds. What did Clyde understand that you need to understand to get the breakthroughs you need? If you're taking notes, the greatest teacher is experience. The greatest teacher is experience. So if you need more breakthroughs, you need experience. I don't know how. Shut up and do something. Don't ask, what do I need to do? Ask, what can I do today? What can I do today? There's trying and there's training. My friend Vince, who's written several books, said, trying is different from training. Training is doing what you can do today so that tomorrow you can do what you can't do today. Experience. You want breakthroughs, you need more experience. So here's the 17-minute strategy. You need 3 things, essential. Number 1, decide. Decide your book is going to be where, when, who you're going to speak to. Decide, but not just a decision, all in. When you decide to go all in, something changes in your brain. You do and act differently. All in is the decision. Not just, I'm gonna, I wanna, all in. Until you decide, nothing else matters. I can give you every strategy, every idea, doesn't matter. Number 1 is decide. Number 2 is you need a strategy. What worked? In my old days of stand-up comedy and speaking, my mentor said, any day that you don't get on stage is a day that you don't grow. What? I thought I have to be good. He said, no, you have to go up to get good. I mean, it's logical, I get it. But I'm not sure shut up. It's a Boston term. Sorry, I'm from Boston. Shut up and do something. Stage time, stage time, stage time. That's how I came across Toastmasters. At the beginning of my comedy career, when I had no sense being on stage, I was not funny, I had no routine, I had no self-confidence. All I had to do was decide to go up. My mentor said, we see your courage, we want to help you. When you're all in, people come to your side, even strangers who see you're the underdog and want to help. Why? Because mentors want to help people with courage. They want to pull the thorn out of the paw for the people who are willing to do the work. Well, where's the proof you're willing to do the work? So what's your strategy? That's why I came to Toastmasters. I walked into my first because I was reading, what the heck is Toastmasters? I'm reading about it. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Here's a place I could get stage time during the day. Comedy clubs are only open at night. I could fail twice a day. Woohoo! That's the all-in mindset. So I walked into my first Toastmasters club, and I noticed these people were different right away. My only experience to date was a comedy club. These people were warm, encouraging, and sober. So I joined 4 clubs because I wanted to quadruple my failure rate. Because that's what my mentor said was most important. That's how I got their attention. Who are you talking to? Be careful. Who are you talking to? You're going to get bad advice. Everyone can give you advice. You know this. I'm just reminding you. When I used to drive 2.5 hours from Boston to Portland, Maine, to go on stage for 5 minutes for free, drive back, and go to my day job the next morning, my mentors were impressed. My high school buddies told me I was stupid. Now I get to fly all over the world. I get to do what I love to do for a living. Now they look at me and they say I'm lucky. Apparently you can go from stupid to lucky. If anyone ever called you stupid, keep going. You're probably on the right path. Depending on who it is. Are you listening to people who have been there and done that? And not listening to people who just have an opinion? Make no mistake, you are the CEO of your dream. You can hire people, fire people, ask for help, not ask for help. Ignore advice. You're the CEO. You can delegate a lot of things, but not your dream. And it's no one else's. You are the CEO of your dream. So, make the decision. We need the strategy. Here's the most important part. Momentum. Momentum. There's a saying in the basketball world, my buddy Craig reminded us, that momentum never loses. So here's why I want you to get a breakthrough. When you get a breakthrough, Nothing can stop you. You become invincible. So let's not put the end goal as just the dream. Put the end goal as your next breakthrough. That's all you need, because then, do you ever see the little Matchbox track where the little wheels are spinning, the rubber wheels, for those of you who are old enough, the little wheels of the Matchbox car, it hits it and goes around the track so fast, and then comes back and slow, and then goes around. That's a breakthrough. Then we're invincible. So here's the strategy. Pull out your phones right now, please. Pull out your phones, open the stopwatch or countdown clock, whatever it is on your phone. Okay, see that 0? That's your problem. Here's a strategy. Every day, sit down, focus, shut off all your notifications, and sit down for 17 minutes a day. 17 minutes a day. Hit the clock, let it go. Now, my goal was to get caught up that I do more than 17 minutes. But as long as I do 17, I get momentum, I feel good about myself, and I'm making progress. 17 minutes. And then when I'm done, I stop and I take a screenshot, and I have 2 accountability partners that I send it to. Get permission from them. That will give you momentum. You are the CEO of your dream. So number 1, decide. Number 2, have a strategy. That's a suggestion. Adjust it to how it works for you. And 3, make your goal to gain momentum, and nothing can stop you.